question for a minute. We're going to record and we're going to say our blessing and then you're going to ask a question. Baruch,
Baruch,
Atah,
Atah,
Adonai, Eloheinu, Melech, Haolam, Asher, Bachar, Banu, Mikol, Ha'amim, V'nasan, Lanu, Es, Toraso, Baruch, Atah, Adonai, Nosein, HaTorah, Shema, Yisrael, Adonai, Eloheinu, Adonai, Echad. Rivka, what's your question?
every time I see reference to our matriarchs, they're listed in the following order: Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. So my question is, why doesn't Leah listed before Rachel? Because Leah is an older sister than Rachel.
Excellent question. Wow, that's a very smart question. Everyone appreciated it. We have the matriarchs and Rivka's right. We always say Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. And her question is, why is it Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah? It should be Sarah, Rivka, Leah, Rachel. Leah is the older one. Leah actually got married a week earlier.
And
Leah
she
produced 6 of the tribes, Rachel 2.
Yeah.
So why is Rachel put before Leah? That is an excellent question that nobody's ever asked me. Very, very smart question. My answer to you would be, it's an amazing question. It shows a good insight. The answer, I assume, is because we are told that even though Leah got married first a week earlier, and Leah's the older sister, though some say they were twin sisters, but the general opinion is she's the older, and she had 6 of the tribes, and Rachel had 2. But despite all that, Rachel is considered the main wife. As it says that the whole reason Yaakov got entangled with all the other 3 wives was all because of her. Meaning, because he desired to marry Rachel, Lavan tricked him and he married Leah. And then because he was married to Rachel, and Rachel was childless, he married Bilhah. And because he married Bilhah, and Leah saw that it worked, and he had children through Bilhah, she gave him Zilpah. So he got married to Bilhah, Zilpah, and Leah because of Rachel. And that's why it says that that each wife had their own tent, right? Each woman had her own room, her own tent. The tent of Leah, of Rivka, of Leah, of Rachel, of Bilhah, and Zilpah. But Yaakov's tent was by Rachel. Rachel was his main wife. So even though Leah had more of the tribes, which would seemingly put her first, we're told no, that Rachel was the main wife, and even the descendants of Leah acknowledge that Rachel was the main wife. And that's why Yosef is considered the main child of Yaakov. As the verse says, Elah, Toldos, Yaakov, Yosef. These are the generations. These are the progeny of Yaakov, of Jacob, Yosef, Joseph. What do you mean? Elah, Toldos, Yaakov, Yosef. Reuven, Shimon, Levi. Yosef was the 11th child. Why does it say these are the children of Yaakov, Yosef, number 11? It should first list 10 other boys first. And the answer is because Yosef was the main child of his main wife. So therefore, even though he was far junior in years to many of his brothers, he was 6 years younger than most of them, or well, not most of them, of course, but he was about 6 years younger. Doesn't make a difference. Elah told us Yaakov, Yosef. Rachel was the main wife. Yosef was her eldest son. So the real main child of Yaakov is Yosef. So good question. And it's explained in a more Kabbalistic way that Rachel represents the energy of the Jewish people, the spiritual energy of the Jewish people. the spiritual energy of what we call Knesset Yisrael, the repository of all the souls of the Jews, was embodied in Rachel. And that's why when Yaakov encountered Rachel, he knew this was his soulmate, which she was, because he understood her energy is the energy of the Jewish people. And also, I'm saying Kabbalistically, Leah is considered the higher but more remote world of thought, and Rachel is already coming down to the world of speech, to the world of relating to someone else, of bringing it down into the actions of this world. So it's not that Leah wasn't a very, very high energy. She was, but Rachel was the energy that came all the way down to this world. Just wait 1 second, please. 1 sec. Take a coffee break. Sorry, someone's at my door and there was no one else around to answer it but me. Any other questions now that Rivka started us off?
I have a
Rachel,
question.
what was your question?
My question is about the mornings. Can I do anything before I say morning blessings, like have some water or even taking a walk? Or I always have to do morning blessings first?
You have to do morning blessings first.
First.
Yeah. In the original Talmudic times, and the times of the Mishnah, the times of the Talmud, the Mishnah was compiled in 200, the Talmud in 500. So going back to the first times where we have recorded law, the people said the blessings as they did those actions of the day. Meaning, when they would hear the crow of the rooster, they'd say the first blessing. And when they opened their eyes, they would say, that you open the eyes. When they were able to straighten up their back, they'd say, that our back can be straightened. When they put their feet on the ground, they say, who makes firm the foundations. But we're told not on level to do that because we're not pure. So therefore, the first thing we do is say the Moda'ani prayer. Then we lean over. We're not even supposed to get out of the bed. We're supposed to lean on our side to reach down to the water that we've put by our bed. And we're supposed to wash our hands. We're not supposed to put our feet on the ground first. We're supposed to literally be leaning over our bed to lean over and wash our hands ritually. Then when we've done that, we can get out of our bed. We can dump out the water in the toilet. We can use the washroom, do everything we need to do to clean up, to get dressed, brush our teeth, wash our face, use the facilities, everything we need to do to get dressed. And then at that point, we're supposed to go to the kitchen sink, ritually wash our hands again. We washed our hands. We were very careful. We didn't put our feet on the ground. We leaned over and washed it three and three. But now we're going to wash by the kitchen sink. Again, the exact same way we did by our bed, this time with a washing cup, and ideally even having a towel to not touch the washing cup with your hands. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we say the first blessing, and we say all the blessings, and then we can begin everything else you want to do. Have your coffee, take your walk. Everything else happens after the morning blessing.
So even water is not allowed before that. No.
Exactly. Right, because water you're drinking. Yeah, no, you should not take a cup of water before that. Absolutely not. You can brush your teeth, and if you're brushing your teeth in the course of brushing your teeth, you might end up swallowing some water, but you're not supposed to take a drink of water before you say the morning blessings. Absolutely not. Shalamis, what was your question?
Actually, I have two questions. One is for the nigel Wasser. If I put it under my bed, okay, I do put it under my bed, but
Not under your bed. You should not put it under your bed. Put it next to your bed.
Oh, but if I
Do-
try to get it, I'll fall out of my bed if I try to get it. My bed's so high up. How does it, I don't,
I can't answer to specific gymnastic needs because your bed is very high and your Negelwasser is very low and you can't reach between the two. That maybe put it on a chair next to your bed so it'll be easier for you. Do not, okay, so Shalom said, I don't know if she said it by accident, if she actually does it. She said something about putting the Negelwasser, the Negelwasser is the term in the Yiddish for the washing cup within the washing basin. Negel means the finger, Wasser means water. So literally translates to finger water, but it's the water for our whole hands, not just our fingers. Do not put it under your bed. Why am I saying do not put it under your bed? Because we are told that under the bed is a place of evil spirits, of negative spirits. We do not, especially not put food under our bed. If food or anything that we would consume, food, drinks, medicines, was put under the bed and someone slept on that, for sure you are not supposed to use that. It should go right in the garbage. If the food went under the bed but nobody slept there, some people will be strict and say once it went under the bed, it's garbage, and other people would say since nobody slept there, it's okay, and you could still use it. But definitely we would not put the water that we're using to purify our hands under a bed that we are going to be sleeping in, because we're going to use it the next morning when we wake up, because definitely over the course of the night when we're sleeping is when this negative energy is found under our beds. Sorry,
Oh.
Shalom. That was question one. What's question two?
no, I didn't know that at all. So wait, you're saying like
Good you asked.
I know, so I could put it on a nightstand.
Sure.
How about under the nightstand? No?
Under your nightstand? You mean like if the nightstand had like a shelf for it? Yeah, no problem.
It has legs.
Fine, no problem.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
Under
it's not under your bed. A nightstand doesn't have an evil spirit under it, just the bed.
okay.
No
It
problem.
could be on top of the nightstand.
Be on top of the nightstand. Your goal is that without leaving your bed, you should be able to reach in and wash your hands.
Okay, that I didn't know. I'm glad I did no idea. Okay, the second thing is, so this morning I did everything you said. I came down. I did my morning blessings, and I couldn't remember if I did wash my hands or I didn't wash my hands. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know, but I didn't ask the rabbi or anything like what should I do. But
So you made the blessing, for sure you know you made the blessing on washing the hands, but you're not sure if you washed your hands.
yeah, I was like, I don't
So
know.
then I would just go to the sink and wash my hands again without a blessing.
Okay, that's
At
what
that point, that'd be the best thing you could do.
I did, and I was like, oh gosh, what is wrong with me? I'm not even remembering what I'm
It
doing.
happens sometimes where I can literally pray and then like 5 minutes later say, did I pray or not? Did I pray the afternoon prayer? Did I make a blessing? Did I make an after blessing? Did I say, I mean, it's weird. I mean, I don't understand what's wrong with my brain. I think we're just like an ADD generation. We lose focus very fast. Like I'll pick up the phone, I'll call someone and I'll be like, I don't remember why I called you. You know, it's just something with our focus. So I can totally understand what you're saying. And that would be my suggestion in that unfortunate situation. What's your choice? That would be what I would assume you should do. Rachel.
What if I forgot? Sometimes, very rarely, but it happens if I forgot to put the water.
Well, okay, excellent question. If you forget to put the water, what you need to do is walk to fill it up because there's no one else around to fill it for you. Well, actually, maybe you could ask your husband. But if he's not around, let's say you're in a situation where no one's around. If someone's around, ask someone else to fill it and bring it to you. But if no one's around, no one's going to do it for you. The law is that you take a step and stop. Take a step and stop. Take a step and stop. Meaning the water is supposed to be within maximum 6 feet of your bed. Really, you're not even supposed to get out of your bed, but like worst case scenario, 6 feet. Probably if you have to walk to the bathroom or something like that to fill it up, it's more than 6 feet. So what we do is we take a step and okay, sorry, my door is open, but this person doesn't realize. Just 1 second. Sorry, I want to demonstrate, but I'm probably too close to the camera for you to see what I'm trying to show you. Let's say this is me, I'm in the bed, okay? I'm like, that's the monster. There's nobody around, nobody's gonna hear me. So I stand up, I take a step, and I stop. I put both my feet together, I stop. I take a step, and I stop. I take a step, and I stop. So each time I'm stopping is as if I'm creating a new extension of those 6 feet. It's not a great option, but if you're stuck, that's what you're supposed to do.
But I
You're not
still
supposed to-
have to
You're not supposed to walk straight. You're supposed to walk, stop, walk, stop, walk, stop. So we keep on pushing that 6 feet until you get to where the water is.
and you bring water back to
No,
bed?
no, don't bring water back to the bed. Get the water and wash your hands. Don't
So
bring it
I
back to
want-
the bed. At that point, we're done with the bed. We want as soon as possible and with as least steps as possible to wash our hands. So we filled up the water and then right away wash your hands.
I can do it in the bathroom?
Well, you shouldn't ideally fill your water in the bathroom. If you want to do it first class, it's better to fill your water in like the kitchen sink than in the bathroom. So
But then it's
ideally,
a longer walk.
it's a longer walk. I understand. I'm just saying in general, a bathroom is a place where, according to Jewish law, there's certain impurity.
But
And
it's not
therefore-
only walk. You cannot pour the water in a kitchen sink. Then
No. You need a basin. Of course not. God forbid. You shouldn't do it in your bathroom sink either. You should have your cup and your basin, your washing cup and your basin. Never pour that water into your kitchen sink. Absolutely not. But you shouldn't put it into your bathroom sink either. Because maybe you brush your teeth and maybe the toothbrush drops and it could fall into the sink and there could be water residual there. No. You wouldn't want to do that either. If what we have upstairs, because my bedrooms are upstairs. So I don't want to have to go downstairs to fill up the water, especially whatever, in the middle of the night, you need to fill up water. So we built in like a curtain.
Mhm.
So it's like a barrier separating the sink from like the toilet and shower area. Again, everyone does what they can do. But I'm giving you the ideal. The ideal situation would be you would take your washing cup in your washing basin, fill it up in your kitchen sink, and then after you, by your bedside, without even getting out of your bed, washed your hands ritually, you take this water and you spill it down your toilet. Not down your kitchen sink and not even down your bathroom sink. Spill it in your toilet. Because you wouldn't want anything to come in contact with that could later possibly get into someone's mouth. And that's why you want to spill it down your toilet.
okay, so follow up with this. So what I do, I put a gallon with water and put it next to my bed, so it lasts for a long time.
That's a great idea.
Okay, so what I do, and that may be not correct,
Oh,
but
so far it was smart. Let's see what you do next.
I pour water from the gallon into my cup in the morning, not at night. Is that okay?
It's okay. It's not, it's better not, only because it's probably a little awkward to do all that while you're still in your bed. So I think you probably have to get out of your bed to do that.
It's okay.
But if you could
works.
figure out the gymnastics involved, if you're on your bed and you take the gallon and you pour it into the washing cup and then you wash it into the basin, that's fine. And that's actually a very smart solution. I'm going to repeat Chava's solution because that was very smart for people who aren't going to put curtains up in their bathroom and their bedroom's not near their kitchen. She's saying she takes like a gallon of water. You can have even bigger. They have, huge things of water, and just keep it in your bedroom. And then you could just always refill it, pour it in your washing cup and, do it that way. That's a great solution, that you don't have to go to the kitchen. You don't have Rachel's problem of forgetting. The water's right there. That's a very smart solution. And it resolves the whole issue of the bathroom. Ideally, you would have poured the water the night before, but I'm saying if you pour it then, as long as you can somehow manage to still stay in your bed and pour it all, I mean, that's, yeah, it's okay. It's not a problem.
And the fact that that water is open, not closed, it's not under the bed, it's standing in the room.
That's fine.
No problem, it can be
Not a
open,
problem.
right?
It can be open, yeah.
And what about this basin, right? Which is impure,
Mhm.
right? It's also open, so it's no problem that it's open.
Yeah, you're not eating out of it. You're not doing anything with it, so it's fine. In other words, what Shalamis said was she, if I understood her correctly, was she was taking the cup with the water and putting that under her bed. That was the problem, because this is the water that's supposed to purify you, and that water is absorbing impurity. The basin, we understand, is impure. So it's impure, it's not hurting me, as long as, I mean, the only way it would hurt me would be if someone would say, oh, and they're gonna pour some food or drink or something that I'm gonna later use in from that basin. As long as everyone knows it's an impure basin, no problem. The impurity doesn't harm me at all. No, that's fine.
Okay.
We
And
wouldn't want, if you, once you wash your hands, you wouldn't want to leave that just around in your bedroom. You would want to dump it out in the toilet and flush the toilet, because you want to like get rid of that impurity. But the empty basin, which is impure, is not the same degree of intensity, and it's not a problem at all.
right. So, but let's say I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I wash my hands, right? And I go to use washroom. I'm not saying modern, nothing. I just quietly do my hands, go use washroom, come back, sleep. And I mean, and the water in basin stays. Then when I wake up, let's say in the morning, I just do it again in the same basin, right? Add more water, set moderni, and go and discard it. Is that the right thing?
Okay, leaving the water in the basin is okay because it's the night and you're tired. It's okay. There was two corrections I would make to your middle of the night routine. When you wake up at 2 in the morning to go and use the washroom, you are supposed to say Modeh Ani. That's very important. Modeh Ani is the prayer that God gave me back my soul, that God gave me life. So whenever you wake up after Jewish midnight, which nowadays is about 10 to 1. So 2 o'clock is definitely a half an hour after Jewish midnight. But I'm sorry, if you wake up after Jewish midnight and you've slept a half an hour, then you say Modeh Ani, because God restored your life. In other words, if you took a nap and slept, well, I'm going to say simply 1 o'clock to make things simple. Let's say Jewish midnight's 1 o'clock. You took a nap from 9 to 12. You got 3 good hours of sleep. Now you're up and ready to work. You do not say Modeh Ani at 12 o'clock because it's not yet Jewish midnight. Do you have to wash your hands? You have to wash your hands, but honestly, you don't have to wash your hands from a washing basin. You could go to your kitchen sink and wash your hands. Ideally, there shouldn't be anything in your kitchen sink, but still, it's not considered waking up in the morning because it's not yet Jewish midnight. Once we're past Jewish, you do have to wash your hands. If you ever sleep a half an hour, you have to ritually wash your hands. If you napped from 2 to 2:30 in the afternoon, you have to wash your hands. And if you sleep from 9 to 12 at night, you have to wash your hands. But it's not considered waking up from your night sleep until it's after Jewish midnight. But once it's 2 in the morning, it's a good hour after Jewish midnight. So then you say the Modeh Ani prayer, because God gave you back your life and you're grateful that he gave you back your life. Then you wash your hands and you're tired, so you leave the water there, whatever, and you go to the washroom. And then when you wake up 4 hours later, 5 hours later, you again say the Modeh Ani prayer. You can say the Modeh Ani prayer 10 times a night. It's not a problem. God's name isn't in it. You again say the Modeh Ani prayer and you again wash your hands, and then you dump the whole thing out in the toilet. So if I see with my husband, if he ever wakes up in the middle of the night, like he's literally half in his sleep, he'll say the Modeh Ani and he'll probably fall right back asleep. Whenever he wakes up, he'll always say the Modeh Ani prayer, because the Modeh Ani prayer is thanking God for giving me back my life And we always want to say to God, thank you for giving us back our life. If you want to be super technical, you could say that once you said it the first time, you don't have to say it again. But generally the custom is we do. Until we're out of bed, we'll keep saying the Modani prayer. I mean, if you woke up 3 times in the middle of the night, you woke up at 2 and you had to use the washroom, and you woke up at 4 and you had to use the washroom, and then you woke up at 6 for the day. Most people would say the Modani prayer at 2 and at 4 and at 6. So some people might say, no, you woke up at 2. The rest is just like little naps. But yeah, that is all those laws, which are very complex, but like everything in life, once you get used to doing them, you do them, and you know, and that's how it goes.
Cyril, can I also ask a couple questions?
Sure, Fega.
Same thing. I heard that washing cup should be always covered, that you cannot leave water uncovered. Is that true or not?
No, meaning you would take the washing cup that's next to your bed and like put a towel over it?
No, like if you pour water in the washing cup to use it in the morning, you need to have a cover on it. You cannot.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. No.
Really?
Absolutely not. What it says in the Talmud, which is maybe where this is coming from, it speaks in the Talmud about being careful of snakes that could creep into the water in the middle of the night. And that's why we do not drink, nothing to do with washing our hands, we do not drink water that was left open overnight. But we are told that that only applies to areas where snakes creep into their water. So if you live in Chicago or Buffalo Grove, you might have other problems, but you don't have snakes creeping into your water. So you do not have to worry about that at all. Meaning if you left a pitcher of water, okay, you had a pitcher of water on your counter, you're allowed to drink the water in there the next day. In the times of the Talmud, where in those areas of the world, in Babylonia, where the Talmud was written, and also in Israel at that time, snakes could come into their water. So the sages said, don't drink water that was left exposed, because snakes could be in that water or have gone in and out of that water. You still don't want to drink that water. So you can only drink water that was covered, but that's only about drinking, and that's only in areas of the snakes. So there's absolutely no issue. You do not have to cover the water that you leave overnight.
Okay. And then when you wash, do you wash like right hand and left hand, right? 3 times, right?
You do
left,
it just
right?
every time when you're washing to remove impurity, you wash 6 times, right, left, right, left, right, left. So it was 6 times, beginning with the right and then alternating right and left. Each time you want to completely cover your hand, meaning you're aiming for your wrist, not for your fingertips or your knuckles or these knuckles. You're aiming for your wrist, and the water should completely cover your hands each of the 6 times. And that is true for every time we wash our hands. The only time we do it differently is if we're washing for bread. If we're washing for bread, we would go 1, 2. It's a whole different washing concept. And we would go 1, 2, 3 again, each time completely covering from the wrist, the entire hand. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. When we're washing for bread, we're simulating how the priests would wash to prepare themselves for eating the truma. This was the holy food of the priests. So since we no longer have that food, because we no longer have priests that are ritually pure, that receive our crops that are ritually pure, since everything's impure, we don't do it anymore. But to not forget the concept, every time before we eat bread, we do it. So we're just like the priests were. In other words, in biblical times, the people that washed this way were priests before eating the truma. But since then, since we no longer have ritually pure priests eating ritually pure truma, we all do it before we eat bread to symbolize that act. So it's a totally different washing, and therefore we go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, just as they did. But every other time we're washing to remove impurity, and that's what we do. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3.
And then blessing. You said when we wash first time, we don't say Atilat Nidayim. Do we say or no? The first time.
The first time when you're by your bedside, no, you do not make a blessing on your bed. You make the blessing Because at that point, we're still not considered clean to make a blessing because our mouth, our mouth is dirty, you know, because we slept in it. We still have like the impurity. So we first want to rinse our mouth. So we go to the bathroom, we rinse our mouth. I mean, we might brush our teeth. Literally, according to Jewish law, you don't have to, but you have to in some way clean your mouth. Because it says when your mouth is talking to God, your mouth should be clean. And if a person has to use the washroom, we're not supposed to talk to God when we need to use the washroom. That's also not considered appropriate. Like you have to talk, you're talking to God and you need to use the washroom. That's not considered respectful. So therefore you would use the washroom, relieve yourself. You would rinse out your mouth. Nowadays we might brush, floss, mouthwash, whatever we're doing to clean our mouth. And only then, and then we're going to get dressed. Because of course I'm touching my body all over again. My hands are all unclean. And then when I finish all that, I'm going to go to the kitchen sink and then again ritually wash. And now I'm going to say the blessing.
And that blessing is Natilat Yadayim.
Yes, exactly. And
Okay,
once I
but-
say that, Al Natilat Yadayim, then I should go into all the rest of the morning blessings, which if I say them every day should take me 3 minutes, 4 minutes. It's like, 3.5 pages in the prayer book. And it's the most important foundational things to say. If you're going to only pray one thing, that's what you're going to pray. Plus the first paragraph of Shema. So someone asked in the chat, after you use the bathroom, should you wash your hands in the bathroom or out of the bathroom? Out of the bathroom. Whenever we are trying to cleanse our hands in a ritual way, it's never in the bathroom because the bathroom has impurity in it because it's a bathroom. So therefore, you're always going to do it out of the bathroom.
I didn't think of that until you said it. And it's funny because I was thinking that I was doing it wrong, but I wasn't sure. Like, I don't know. Some people have wash cups in their bathrooms. And so, right.
Some people do a lot of things.
No, I know, but I just didn't realize it until I went to my rabbi's house, and then I realized they didn't have that, and then I don't know. I just never came to consciousness with it.
Right. I mean, honestly, serving God has numerous details, and your whole journey, you're going to learn new laws, and so do I. I'm always excited when I learn something new because I'm like, oh, good, now I'm going to do something else right. To me, it's exciting, and I know that every law is God's will. So I want to connect to God's will completely. I want to do it right with all the precision. Think of it like I was trying to send someone an email. She needed her transcripts. The email didn't go through. She said it was the right email. It didn't go through. And then I realized, I don't know if on her end or my end, I didn't bother checking back the original email to check. One letter was off. Well, guess what? The email didn't go through because I was missing one little letter in a whole string of letters, right? So it's the same thing. The email didn't go through because there was something missing. So when you're serving God, it's like you want to have the precision. Just like when you're writing that email, you have to be precise, otherwise it's not going to send. So when you're serving God, you want the precision of doing it as He wants, that you fuse with Him completely. But at the same time, we say, listen, God, I'm an imperfect, flawed human being. Try my absolute best. And all the times I sincerely took water from the bathroom and washed my hands, I'm sure you accepted it because you knew I was sincere. You knew I was trying. And now that I know how to do it better, I'll do it better. And I'm excited to do it even better. But I'm sure every time when I did it and it wasn't exactly perfect, I'm sure you accepted it as perfect because you knew the sincerity of my intention. So we have like both sides of our perspective. On one hand, we trust that God appreciates everything we're doing and doesn't pull out his magnifying glass because it's flawed like this and flawed like this. He appreciates we're trying to serve him. And at the same time, every time we can do it a little more exactly as he wants. It's exciting because when we're doing it exactly as he wants, then for sure, there's that connectivity point between me and God, which is a point of a mitzvah. Mitzvah is from the word safsa, which means connection. So every mitzvah is supposed to be like a connector point between me and God. So I want to do it right. I want to do it his way because I want that connection. But if I didn't do it exactly right, God knew the sincerity of my intention. God understood I was trying. God is very appreciative of my efforts. And God, for sure, took my imperfect service and valued it very, very much. You know, the Lubavitcher Rebbe once gave a talk. I forget the details, but it was speaking about the Jews in Soviet Union under the communists, and he quoted a verse. It's a verse from Song of Songs. I don't remember the verse. I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly the talk. I just remember the punchline, where the Rebbe was talking in this verse. Is talking about how, like, my beloved. I don't remember exactly, but something like my beloved is sort of ugly, but still my beloved. And that's not exactly the verse, but something along those lines. And the Rebbe explained, this is like the commandments done by the Jews under the communists. That here the Jews, first of all, they're so ignorant of exactly how to serve God, because they don't have the ability to learn. And then even in whatever they know, they have 5, 10 eyes watching them all the time. So every mitzvah they're doing is like, as we say, b'diavad, you know, minimally, sort of, and, you know, minimally, sort of, and minimally, sort of. And these commandments are so precious. And the Rebbe spoke about how, like, the angels are, just like it says that the angels, after the dancing of Simchas Torah, they go around to collect the worn out shoes, the soles of the shoes of the Jews that wore out their shoes dancing for God. And they bring up all those shoes to God as, like, look how beautiful are your people. So similarly, the angels go around gathering up as the most precious thing they could bring to God, the mitzvahs done by Soviet Jewry. Even though the mitzvahs, and as the Jews doing the mitzvah, the Jew could, like, feel so bad, like, this isn't really kosher like I want it to be kosher. This isn't really correct. This isn't really the way to do it. And that Jew's right. But for God, it's the most precious thing because it's a mitzvah saturated in love of God and self-sacrifice for God. And therefore, it's so, so precious for God, even though technically it might not be absolutely perfect. So if we're doing something that's not technically absolutely perfect, God still appreciates the efforts we're putting into it. It says actually about, I think it was Rebbe Levi Yitzchak Berdichev, or it might have been the Baal Shem Tov. I forget which one. One of them, I think it was Baal Shem Tov actually, that his sukkah was very, very, very barely kosher. Had like every problem you could think of. And it was so surprising. Here's the Baal Shem Tov, the leader of world Jewry, and his sukkah was so, you know, barely kosher. And it was explained that he did that to give merit to any other Jew in the world whose sukkah might not be so perfect. As if to say, listen, God, you have a problem with this guy's sukkah? The Baal Shem Tov has a worse sukkah. You have a problem with this guy's sukkah? The Baal Shem Tov has a worse sukkah. The Baal Shem Tov's sukkah is surely kosher. So all these other half-baked sukkahs are also for sure kosher. So, you know, God looks at our heart and he appreciates our intention. Which reminds me, it has nothing to do with that, but just reminds me, thinking about Soviet Jewry. I heard this last week and I was very inspired because of this class and because of what I learned from this class. So what I've learned over the years is that for the majority of the Jews living under the communists, the one mitzvah they had, and for most of them, about the only link to Judaism they had, was matzah on Pesach. Correct?
Yes.
That's what you've told me. That's what you've told me. For most of you, if you had anything, and most of you had matzah on Pesach, and most of you had nothing else, but most of you had matzah on Pesach. So what did I learn this past Thursday that I never connected the dots and knew? The Rebbe's father, his name was Reb Leivik Schneerson, who was the chief rabbi of Yekaterinoslav, which was the major city in the Ukraine, breadbasket of Russia. He self-sacrificed year after year to ensure that the Jews under the Soviets had kosher matzah. And ultimately, when he was finally arrested, and that arrest really led to his death. I mean, from his arrest, he was interrogated and tortured for a year, and then he was for 4 years in exile, and then he died. It was from pancreatic cancer, but some such disease. What was the excuse? Even though, of course, he had many crimes against the Soviets, but what was the real excuse? All the money he wasted from the government on insisting on his kosher matzah for Pesach. So he was a rebel. He was, instigator against the communist regime because he wasted the Communist Party money by not accepting all flour as fit for his matzah for Pesach. And I think this act went on for about 6-7 years until he finally culminated in his arrest shortly before Pesach. And that Pesach, when the Jews of Russia enjoyed absolutely kosher matzah under his rabbinical supervision, he didn't have any matzah that year for Pesach because he was under arrest. So I think he explained that why did he do this? Why did he literally go all the way to the top, go all the way to the president of Russia to get permission to have the flour to be under his supervision, to be absolutely kosher? So he explained that he understood under the communists, the Jews wouldn't be able to keep the laws. They just wouldn't be able to. The communists wouldn't let. And he decided there had to be one commandment that he would self-sacrifice for God to ensure that the Jews of Russia kept this one commandment. And the commandment he chose was matzah on Pesach. And the reason he chose matzah on Pesach was because matzah is the food of faith. So as long as Jews are still eating matzah on Pesach, they'll still stay believers and faithful to God. And that's why for 6-7 years under the communists, he sacrificed every year to produce literally, absolutely under his supervision, kosher matzah, every year getting in more and more trouble until it finally culminated into his arrest, exile, and death, to ensure that the Jews of Russia would have every year matzah for Passover. So when I heard this, it resonated so deeply because I had learned from this class that the one commandment that somehow the Jews of Russia kept for some strange reason, and it wasn't an easy one to keep, but for some reason it stuck, was matzah on Pesach. So I thought that was a very deep resonating point, and I remember when I heard it, I wanted to share it with the class. But that I was just reminded because we were talking about the preciousness of the perhaps technically not correct, but very beautiful commandments of the Jews done under the Soviet regime, which also should make us feel good if we realize our commandments weren't exactly 100% perfect. We should know that God also values our heart and our sincerity, and he appreciates what we're doing, even if it's not always technically correct, but we still strive to be as technically correct as possible. Any other questions on this subject that I wandered away from a bit?
I want one more question about washing hands. Do we dry them off with a towel after that?
Okay, so when you're washing by your bed, there's no specific regulation. Some people do keep a towel by their bed so they can dry their hands. But if you don't really care if your hands are wet, you don't have a legal Jewish obligation to dry your hands in. There are people that keep a towel like by their bed, on their night table or over the bedpost, just so it's convenient for them. But that's convenient. That's not Jewish law. When you are washing your hands by your kitchen sink, after you cleaned your mouth and you relieved yourself and you got dressed and now you're ready to start your day, so the first thing you're going to do is say your blessings. At that point, again, to do it meticulously correct, you would take a towel in your right hand, fill up the water under your sink, assuming you're righty, switch the towel and the water basin to your left hand, and then start washing your hands ritually, each time switching the towel. So you're never touching the arm of the basin itself. You're always touching it via towel, if possible. When you finish, you put it down, you're supposed to take your hands and as you're saying the blessing, begin saying the blessing, you have a little bit of the water still in your hands. So you're going to dry your hands saying the blessing, and then you continue saying the blessing with your hands out raised like this, as if you want to do it like 1,000,000%. But again, if you don't do it 1,000,000%, God still totally appreciates it. So there is even a ritualized way of drying your hands, but that is only the second time when you're by your kitchen sink. That is not when you are by your bed.
And you use a towel after you?
Yes. So you're doing, as you're doing it here, you're doing it with the towel.
With the towel.
With the towel, and you're getting the water, you're have the water, so you're putting it in your hands, and you have your towel. I'm sorry, I'm not demonstrating properly. You don't have a towel. You're drying your hands, and then you hold your hands up like this, fingers outstretched like this, up and outstretched, and you say the blessing.
The same before, when we wash before eating bread?
When you wash before eating bread, we also are careful to go like this, but we don't go this. This is only in the morning with washing away the impurity and making the blessing.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Wow, it's 8:57. Okay, Rachel, you sabotaged the class, but that was very useful because now we know how to do this correctly, and we didn't. So I'm not going to at 8:57 open up the Tanya, but I will learn our law of Shabbos. After spending this whole time learning laws, we'll learn where we're holding in Shabbos. Okay, what we were saying last week about Shabbos was that if you don't have the wine or you can't tolerate the wine, having it on the bread. We spoke about like beer. Remember, like something that's considered an honorable drink in your country. We spoke about vodka, but we said the beer vodka would be for the day or for the Havdalah. For Friday night, ideally, it should be wine. That's what we discussed last class. Now, so you make your Kiddush. Now you think you make your Kiddush, you're about to now begin your meal. So you should make an after blessing on the Kiddush, which we don't do. You've never seen anyone do that. And we don't do that because since the Kiddush is really, in essence, part of the meal, it's the introduction to the meal. I have my Kiddush, I make my blessing on the wine, I have a cup of wine. Then I'm going to wash my hands ritually, as we now learned, dry them properly. And before bread, you want to dry your hands completely. It's considered wrong to have wet hands when you touch the bread. So you want to dry your hands absolutely, completely dry. And then you're going to make your hamotzi. You're going to have your meal, and you're going to say the long blessing afterwards. And that long blessing includes for the cup of wine that you had before the meal, because that cup of wine was really to introduce the meal. So that's why you don't have to make a separate blessing on it. But let's say you drank your cup of wine. Now you're about to have your meal, but you're thirsty. You're hungry, you're thirsty. You just don't drink, you either drink a few more cups of wine, or you drink some soda or some seltzer or some water, whatever. At that point, no. You already, it wasn't just introducing the meal, you're already having a little mini meal first, then make an after blessing, and then wash your hands for the bread. So again, normally we don't make an after blessing after the Kiddush because the Kiddush is literally introducing the meal. So I don't have to make a separate after blessing, it's gonna be part of the meal. But if I had my wine and then for whatever reason, I ate a bit, I drank a bit, I don't know, there's a lot of people in line to wash and I'm hungry or I'm very, very thirsty, or I don't know, it's hot, there's cold soda, I want to drink a cup of cold soda even before I wash my hands, I'm allowed to, but then I have to make the after blessing before I wash my hands for the meal. Because then already it became like a little mini meal separate from the main meal, so therefore I make an after blessing before my main meal. Okay, any questions on that? All right, thank you so much for joining. I so appreciate everyone that comes. I know it's really hard at night, you know, to stop, and especially the people that graciously I got to see their faces, which is so wonderful, and I so appreciate that. So thank you so much for joining. We should have a wonderful week. And again, every time I find out a better way to do it to serve God, I'm always excited. But I never feel like, oh, so before I wasn't doing it right and that wasn't really good. Whatever I did, God took with the sincerity I meant it. And now I know to do it a bit more correctly, even better. Thank you so much for joining. Have a wonderful week.
Thank you.